Hey everybody, ICAST 2025, and look who's here with me. The legend, Jimmy Houston. The legend, Roland Martin.
Well, my fishing buddy. This is my fishing partner. Actually, both these guys are my fishing partner. But I've done a lot of fishing with Gerry as well.
Gerry is my ice cream sundae supplier.
Exactly.
He bought Roland and I an ice cream sundae last night. This big around and this tall. And after we had already eaten a fantastic meal, and I said, he's glad they're taking pictures and everything. I said, there's no way we could eat all that. We did.
So listen, what I want to ask you guys, because nobody ever gets to sit here and really learn everything about you. What is your favorite lake do you like to fish in the whole world? It can be Mexico, it can be wherever. If you had one, what would you call it?
You know, I'm not sure I have a favorite one, but Texas, I love Lake Sam Rayburn. I love
Sam
Lake
Rayburn.
Fork. Lake Fork is still an incredibly good lake. Alabama, maybe Guntersville. In Florida, I fished the headwaters with Roland, and it's absolutely fantastic. But we have fished a lot of tournaments on Lake Okeechobee, and it's a little tough right now, but Okeechobee is still an incredible lake. It's got a lot of big fish in it, and one of the problems, as Roland's explained to me at Okeechobee now, is the big fish are only in just a few areas. If you're not in that area, it's pretty tough to catch a big one.
Exactly.
It produces a lot of fish no matter what. It limits every day. Lake 10 Kilo that I lived on, BASS, just fished there, and every person in the tournament caught a limit every single day. That's 5 fish. That sounds easy, but you don't have many tournaments, even with the pros, where everybody catches a limit every day of the tournament.
Right.
So, but you know, if it's got water, I like it.
I hear you. All right, Roland, we're going to ask you that question in a minute, but I need to go back to headwaters. Did you really enjoy fishing headwaters?
I loved it. I loved it.
Didn't you? Didn't you take a swim there too?
Yeah, you know, and it's amazing because I really didn't need one. I showered that morning. Roland pushed me in
before he fell in the water.
Oh, he said you pushed him in.
I asked him. I said, "How much sleep did you get last night?" He said, "Well, I didn't get to bed till about 2 o'clock because they had run all the way from Bradenton.
Got up.
So he got like 2 hours sleep.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He's tired. He's been fishing all day.
Not sitting
only had 2
standing
hours
up.
sleep. I think he just kind of, collapsed. I think it just.
He just told me you threw him out of the boat. But wait a minute,
He didn't push me in. He really didn't.
Who was catching the bigger fish?
Well, we were fishing shiners.
What was the biggest you caught?
6 pounds. Or
7.
Nice.
612. 612.
So did you get out of that alligator-infested water really quick?
No, really, I'm not really too worried about alligators. No. Roland told me I didn't have to worry about them. He said those are man-eaters.
Did you lose sunglasses, rods, reels, anything?
I did lose a rod, but I'd cast out, and so we got the line. We got the rod back.
Cool.
You know, when you fall in the water, for some reason, you grab air, and if you have a rod and reel in your hand, you grab air, the rod and reel goes in the water.
Exactly.
I've done it myself. I've seen a lot of other people do it. We got the rod back.
Cool.
And
that's good. All right, Roland, same question to you. What's your favorite body of water? Or if you can't narrow it down, what would you list?
It changes every year. Okeechobee 5 years ago was fantastic. We caught plenty of 30-pound stringer. Now it's a little tougher. It's just not as good. Headwaters, in fact, when they first opened Headwaters, it was better than it is right now. I had like 17 that first year over 10 pounds, and this year I've only got like 5.
Right.
So lakes change. But right now it's a toss-up between Headwaters and Okeechobee as far as my favorite lake.
Gotcha. Jimmy, biggest bass you've ever caught?
13.
I saw it.
13-1.
Were you together?
It was in Cuba.
13-1.
It was in Cuba?
Yeah.
All right, what's your biggest?
My biggest that I ever lost was 15-12.
What's the biggest you caught?
The biggest one I ever lost was 15-12.
What's the biggest you caught?
But how do
Let's get rid of the loss.
How do you know I lost it?
Because you just told us, biggest bass I ever lost.
How can I prove that I lost the fish and yet it was the fish?
Because somebody in the boat with you caught the fish right after you lost it.
No.
The next
day, the guy caught it with my hook in his mouth.
No way.
Yes.
What body of water?
Rodman Reservoir.
And it weighed what?
15-12.
No kidding.
And he caught it the next day with my hook, and I got the hook back.
So you got your hook back, but that's not your personal best because you didn't get the fish.
But I lost the fish.
Okay, but what's the biggest you ever put in the boat yourself without losing it?
We were filming in Backrack, Mexico, and I just caught a 13.5 pounder, which was my biggest fish ever.
And it was getting dark, was it?
It was getting dark, and I made one more cast, and I caught a 14.25 on camera now.
Yeah.
But I caught the 2 biggest fish I ever caught back to back on 2 different casts.
No kidding. Now you said topwater. What topwater?
A Cordell boy, howdy. I don't remember things as good as I used to, and I just recollected one more fish when Roland said he caught a 14 and a quarter, which would be 14 pounds and 4 ounces. I forgot about a 14.5. I forgot about that 14.5 I caught.
Oh,
It's
okay.
amazing because every time Jimmy talks about the biggest fish he ever caught, he's always asked whoever he's talking to, what's their biggest fish?
And he always goes higher than them?
1 ounce more.
1 ounce more?
1 ounce more.
No kidding.
14.5, yeah, that was an exciting fish.
Yeah.
Don't remember much about it. But
Yeah. Now, if you had to fish for 1 year and only use one bait, what would it be?
a red man spinnerbait.
Yeah.
What color?
Probably chartreuse and blue. Chartreuse
With
and white
what?
would be
With
a good
what for
choice.
blades?
All the red man spinnerbaits now have single Colorado blades on them. They got a number 4 blade.
And the new name of that company that makes
Their
them?
name is Lucky Strike. We're morphing that company into Fish Lucky, which is a name that Toby Keith really liked. Toby Keith bought that company about a year before he died. Toby's family still runs the company. Trish and his wife and Crystal, his daughter, still involved in the company. And I took Crystal fishing just the other day, as a matter of fact. And they've got great products. They're going to move into other lines of products, like catfish bait, stuff like that.
Great.
Which is good because I paid my way through college selling catfish. So I love to be able to do some television shows catching catfish on Fish Lucky catfish bait. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, and your bait?
Well, I'm also working with Jimmy on Fish Lucky.
Yeah, but you can't claim his spinner bait because you already took that one.
I use his spinnerbait.
He's used it a lot.
It's my favorite one. Now, they also wanted me to kind of enhance their new worm deal. They got a new worm. It's a stick worm.
Yeah.
And it's called a salt sink, and it's real salty. It's extreme. And there's
Salt
only a couple
sink.
Salt sink.
Lucky Salt, Lucky Sink.
Lucky Sink, okay.
Lucky Sink.
It's real hard to make an injected salty worm because it's soft, number one. But the fish bite it better and they hold on to it better. And people the bass really like a soft worm.
And what color?
Any color will work as long as it's green pumpkin.
Yeah, you told me that all the time. Hey, let me remind everybody what you say about night fishing. What color works at night?
Any color will work as long as it's black.
Yeah, and we proved that. We've done a lot of shows together in the night.
Black in the middle of the night. Oh, guess what? That guy, Ed, the zombie spinnerbait guy,
Yeah.
he came here yesterday and he said, listen, they're biting again out on Keansville.
And we're headed there, aren't we? As soon as this show
I don't know
ends.
if we can get there this weekend or not, but we need to do some more night fishing.
Yeah, we got to
He
get
said he caught
done.
a couple tens already
No kidding.
at night.
Well, if he can catch 10s, we can catch one 10:01 on the Jimmy
one
thing.
problem with doing tens, and one of the things we like to fish are frogs. And we're sitting there in the middle of the night. Now, there's alligators in a lot of these places. And so you can't see the alligator. They hear the popping frog, and they come sneaking up, and they're just laying there, and all of a sudden the frog comes in. You don't know that you're even near an alligator until about a 200 or 300 pound alligator just eats your frog. You don't know he's even there.
That happened to me last time we filmed, remember? Big
we
old
lose a lot
frog.
of frogs.
Yep.
And even bass and bite too. So.
Absolutely.
Roland, that's really deal. Roland talking about those colors. Any color's all right as long as it's. And he's actually been saying that for a long time. Back when I was a kid watching outdoor fishing shows on television, my two favorites was Roland Martin and Bill Dance, and I watched their shows a lot. And Roland used that same line back there, and he would say any color of plastic worm is okay. And we didn't have all these. We didn't have green pumpkin. We didn't have all these. We finally had a motor oil, which was like a precursor to green pumpkin. But Roland would always say, any color is all right as long as it's purple. As long as it's purple. And Bill Dance, he'd go on TV, the next show I'd watch, and I was just a little kid, and he'd say, any color is all right as long as it's blue. And so when I started fishing tournaments, winning tournaments, people would say, what color? I say, any color as long as it's blue or purple. It doesn't matter.
There you go.
I just said, that's just pretty well true. Until green pumpkin came along.
Yeah. Now, when I used to watch the Jimmy shows.
When you were a kid?
Yeah, when I was a kid. Roadrunner was the big bait. So every time everybody said Jimmy Hughes, I said, oh yeah, the Roadrunner bait. Then he went spinner baits, and that all changed. Now listen,
you're not using Roadrunners anymore?
No, I use a Fish Lucky Crappie Magics.
Okay,
Crappie
is
Magics
it the same
jigs.
thing as a Roadrunner?
No, it doesn't have the rate on it. It's a great little jig, great little crappie jig. Yeah.
But don't you remember all the shows with the Roadrunner?
Yeah.
And then he went to spinner baits, and then I knew him as a spinner bait man. Well, guess what? somebody, and I won't say who, was playing with a helicopter lure, and I identified him with the helicopter lure. And then when he got to the Cinco, he took off, man. Cinco King, this guy catches them.
Well,
man, he catches them on a lot of things. A Big Easy, a
but that's the
Cinco.
thing about that salty sink by Fish Lucky. It has got really a soft bait. A lot of salt.
I'm looking forward to trying all these Fish Lucky baits. These guys, they've been involved in designing this.
One of the key differences, a Lucky Sink, Lucky Salt, Fish Lucky, whatever you'd call it, but you can catch several bass per bait.
Yeah.
You don't go through a bag of 10 nearly as quickly as you do a lot of the other baits. It's made to catch fish and catch a lot of fish.
People think they have to go just from the head. I'll a lot of times take it after it's all torn up and turn it around.
Use the other end. Doesn't matter.
Use it from the tail.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Good.
Frontwards, backwards.
But you get a couple more that way.
And really and truly, I think how there's a lot of jig and worm combinations out there right now. And Roland and I have been fishing jig and worms since we were kids. It's a long time ago. And they started calling them shaky heads, and then they put a little different type of head and a little short worm on and called it Ned rig, and they got Nico rigs, and you do all kinds of drop shot, split shot, all kinds of different deals. But basically, anytime you have a jig and a worm, that's a jig and worm is what we always called it. Mm-hmm. And actually, plastic worms were first fished on a jig head. The Texas rig had not came around when they all came out on a jig head, and they were colored like a worm. They were worm colored. They weren't black or purple or anything. And but I really believe that how the Ned rig, which is just a little small tiny hook and a jig, which we used jigs like that then too, and we'd put like a little end of a Cinco on them, or a little end of a plastic worm that front was messed up, just a little 2 or 3 inch end of it. And we fished those, and I finished second at a BASS in Washington using one of those little bluegill hook, which is eventually called, a writer started calling that after himself. He named it after himself. But that bait was around 20 years before, 30 years before it was ever called a Ned rig. But there's so many different ways to fish every bait.
Right.
And like you said, the salty sink, you turn around and use the other end of it.
Right.
You tear up the head of it, bite it off. Instead of use a 5-inch, use a 4-inch. Instead of use a 4-inch, use a 3-inch. So you could actually, of course, you can catch quite a few fish on one single worm with a Fish Lucky, like you saw before it'll tear up. And that's one of the big advantages. Now, don't tell those people who are running Lucky Strike I told you that, because they like to sell lures. We like to teach people how to catch more than one fish on a lure, and how to get lures unhung so they
want to sell lures.
They want you to just break them off and buy a new one. And what's one thing about the Red Man spinnerbait that you like, Roland, everybody likes, you can catch 200-300 fish on it and doesn't break.
It is indestructible.
Just make sure you have extra skirts.
Thick, short, stainless steel wire.
It's got a wrap.
It doesn't break.
It's got a wrap, and it won't break.
Yeah.
And with the wrap deal, every time that I've seen it break, but never, the blade always goes off, and what you're left with was the lure on the line.
Yeah.
So even though the lure is broken, you still got the fish.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the
you're not gonna break your wire.
Cool. That's good.
I'd like to know how many I've caught on some of them, but they're just lead. There's no color. What color was that? I don't have a clue. It's the color of the skirt I put on it. But you go through 8 or 10 skirts before you ever wear a bait out. It's crazy.
All right, I'm going to ask some questions, and you short answers on this, because I don't want to take too much of your time. What was your biggest win ever that sticks out in your mind?
Probably the tournament I won at Santee Cooper, because the first day I caught 25-12, and the first place guy had 34 pounds, and he came by and talked to me. I was sitting in the back of a pickup talking to Ricky Green and Ricky Clunn, Doug Odom, and he said, "You better do a little bit better tomorrow, hot shot." And I was in second place. I thought I'd done great, 25 pounds. And he said, "I kind of had a bad day today." And I said, "Doug, if you're fixing to do better than that, don't worry about me. I'm not your competition. Somebody else is." And I ended up winning that tournament and catching just about 25 pounds every day.
Yeah. What is your biggest win you can remember?
Actually, it was a second place win.
Okay.
It was one of these mega bucks tournaments.
Yeah.
And they happened to pay $105,000 for the winner, but they paid $87,000 for second place. Now, that's normally not that high.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I came in second, everybody would say, "Oh, I feel so sorry for you that you only came in second." And I'm thinking, $87.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Money I've ever won in a tournament. Yeah. I'm happy as a bed bug.
You know,
it was second place.
That's amazing. Let me throw a deal in. It's kind of cool. There was one tournament where Roland Martin and I won all the money in the tournament. The first time they ever had a Finns game on Gunnersville.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And they had, like, you fish 6 holes. First hole's 2,500, second 5,000, third 75, 10, 15, and then 20,000. So 70,000, whatever that total left to altogether. And Roland won the first hole and won 2,500. And then I won 2, 3, and 4. There was a tie on 5. So everybody fished a tie on 5, so that money was carried to the last hole, which was then worth about $45,000 for that hole. And it's still everybody's fishing, and the first fish wins, sudden death. And I went to a spot where I'd won the 4th hole on, and about the 15th or 20th cast, I caught one that just barely measured over 12 inches, and that won the last 2 holes and won $35,000 on it.
Just a little keeper?
I barely measured. In fact, the
No
guy,
good.
when I hooked the fish, I'm bringing him in, and my camera guy got on the front and said, Jimmy just caught the fish. And I said, I don't have it in yet. And I was talking to him, and I was bringing it in, and he said, it's in the boat. And I said, I'm not sure it'll measure.
That was the last fish caught. The first fish that was caught was my 8 1/4 that I caught.
And he won $2,500 on it.
It was the first
And then I
fish
won,
that
and then
caught.
I won
It was
35.
8 1/4 pounds.
I won 35,000 on a 1 pound 2 ouncer.
Yeah. No,
So that's pretty cool.
Now
But
here's-
Roland and I won all the money. I think it was 70,000 they gave away.
Here's a question that may have never been asked to you two guys sitting at a table together. When you were fishing against each other, did you ever share information back and forth to help each other?
All the time.
Did you? Right from the start.
Well, yeah, we're both from Oklahoma, and I fished tournaments actually before Roland
I
did.
wouldn't fish his spot, for example, but I might ask him, are you getting him on the red man spinnerbait? Because that was one thing that he would always throw. But sometimes he wouldn't catch him on a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
He was like in top water. I think that particular tournament there, I don't think he caught him on a spinnerbait.
Right.
But so
Good.
Caught
but
him
I'd
on a hot spot. Caught him on a Cordell hot spot.
Right.
What's the biggest invention in bass fishing that's made a difference in your fishing in your whole career? In other words, a new technique, a new bait, what is the one thing that made a big impact on your success?
Well, trolling motor.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What'd he say? Trolling motor?
Trolling
We're
motor.
power fishermen. We don't rely on the electronics quite as much as the forward fishing.
So the
guys.
trolling motor.
So Jimmy's idea of a good fishing day is taking that spinnerbait and accurately casting. He's very accurate underneath a bush and bam, waking it out, bam, but watch the fish roll out and hit it. That's his joy. It's watching the fish and watching the bait and throwing close to a target.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes crazy. He loves to do that. He'll fish open water, but he'd rather fish a log. And it's
Right.
we're power fishermen, target oriented.
That's a great answer, though. Trolling motor. Because you've seen them go from
I'm the same way.
real low power all the way to what they are today. And
We've seen a trolling motor go from a paddle to what we have now.
there you go.
From a
Yeah.
paddle to what we have now.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for joining me, man. And you and I going fishing as soon as this ends. And I'm going to bring Hunter out to fish with you
Gotta
up
bring
there.
Hunter.
2 legends of the sport right here, everybody. Not too often you get to sit with 2 great guys. These guys are top notch. Man, they do a lot for kids. They do a lot of family things, good family values. Watch these guys.
And just remember, fish lucky. I sure do love you.